Hi everyone, thank you for being here. My name is Gia. Today's video is going to be about me sharing with you guys on self-doubt, whether you are standing in a change that's going on in your life, or you're thinking about changing jobs or moving into a different place, or any sort of thing that kind of creates internal conflict and it's creating a lot of doubt or maybe feelings of being lost, different emotions that can surface in these kind of life situations. And I wanted to create this video to talk about where self-doubt comes from and how we can learn to work through it and shift from this self-doubt state into a more confidence or more grounded and centered place. Not to say that self-doubt will completely go away, but how to work through them as a regular self-care practice. So the first source in which self-doubt can come from is from our experience of invalidation from a very young age. When you think of a child wanting to feel validated or feel nurtured in whatever this child is experiencing emotionally. For example, this child is feeling very upset about something, and this feeling of anger is not being validated by the parents or caregivers. Either it's rejected, either it is basically told to them that it's not a valid feeling to feel, or sometimes parents are not able to contain and nurture this child's anger, and they become overly angry before the child is able to express this anger, this frustration. And I've learned that this can create quite a bit of internal conflict for this child. And these feelings of invalidation can grow up to feel a lot of doubt about what we're feeling. And we often learn to invalidate our own feelings. And this creates an internal conflict between what our brain thinks is right way to feel or to be and what has been taught to them versus what is true at the heart. And this is a pretty common thing that I've seen over my work with clients as well. And especially when we're young, our parents or adults in our lives are our role models in some ways. We learn how to behave in a certain way. We learn how to think and see the world through our observation of their life, their interpretation of the world. So this does have a big impact in our life. I've learned over the course of my life that at some point, for those of us who haven't felt very validated or felt enough validation growing up, it's important that we begin to learn to validate ourselves in whatever shape or form it takes. It could be just simply taking a moment to validate our feelings as it is, for example, angry or sad about something that happened in your life, and allowing yourself to feel it rather than labeling it as good or bad or valid or invalid. The second source of self-doubt, I've learned that it comes from social programming. It's usually social programming to follow a specific path in life, to fit into a specific way of living, way of lifestyle. And one example could be, okay, so you should be getting this job because this job is stable and stability is very important. By age 25, you should have achieved this. By age 40, you should have done this. All of these social programming creates discrepancy within us that often invalidates what is true at our heart, perhaps our passions, our dreams, versus what we believe or what we have learned to believe, what is the correct path, what is the best path to take. I've learned over time that my friend's chapter 1 might be a lot shorter than my chapter 1. So we might be interacting and living with people in our life that are going through their chapter 7, but it's simply because perhaps our chapter 6 is a lot longer and there's something that needs to be explored for us to successfully shift into the chapter 7. This is just one analogy that I want to use in terms of viewing, I guess, timelines of our lives, where everyone is taking in the world in a different way. Each of us have our own unique life lessons that are brought through our life experiences, our life challenges. So I think this is something that we can all think about is, okay, what part of my belief, my thoughts, is based on what is true to me, and what part of our belief and our thoughts is based on what has been taught to us, taught from our parents, taught from our teachers, any sort of role models or authoritative figures in our lives. The third source of self-doubt can often come from extremely critical and judgmental upbringing. I have to say, I grew up in an environment where a lot of things were about perfectionism. And I really can't blame anyone, because I knew that I really bought into this, and I believe and I felt good achieving this perfectionism. I do believe that this upbringing really affects the self-talk that goes on in our heads. I did not realize my self-talk in my head until later on in my life. It's almost like programming myself over and over again. So think about how your upbringing, per se, affects you today in how you view yourself, and how much of a self-doubt and self-criticism that you hold for yourself. And try to think of ways to focus evenly on your strength and your growth, how much you have grown, in comparison to your weaknesses and your challenges that you're experiencing. So these are a few sources of self-doubt that came to me while I was reflecting on it. But really, feel free to share in the comments below some of your own insights as to where self-doubt comes from for you in your life. And I think sharing this can be very helpful for a lot of people. And that being said, I want to share with you guys a few different approaches to work through our self-doubt and overcome it. And the first thing that comes to mind is examining our self-doubt. Oftentimes, when we feel self-doubt, it's not a very comfortable feeling. So because of this discomfort that we feel within ourselves, we tend to want to avoid it, or not look into it, or just cover it up. I think it's important for us to actually take a step further and take the risk of looking into specific thoughts and beliefs that comes with this self-doubt. So what I've done is to literally write down thoughts associated with this self-doubt. So let's say you're trying to make an important life decision and you're not sure if this decision is right, there's some internal conflict going on, then you can write down the conflicting aspects in this self-doubt, right? What's keeping you from moving forward and what's wanting you to move forward. And write down all the thoughts that's playing out in your head through journaling, through writing, and just take a moment to examine these thoughts. So if you resonate with it, I encourage you to try this out. The second tip that I want to share with you is to take a look at your inner family system. So there is our physical family that we often grow up with, our parents or siblings perhaps. But then through this experience of growing up with our family, we learn to develop our inner family system. So within ourselves, there is our inner child that knows how to freely express and be courageous in speaking our truth and being creative and intuitive. And then there's our inner parent that knows how to set healthy limits, that knows how to be a nurturer for this inner child within us. And then there's the inner wise man or inner wise woman, however you would like to call it, that gives us insights into how to balance this internal family system. And oftentimes, the way we were raised by our parents, our physical parent, tends to reflect and mirror how our internal parent treat our inner child. So if you find yourself in a lot of self-doubt and self-criticism, then it's important to examine how much of a power and space your inner parent is taking, and if the inner child is being taken care of. So there are ways that we can take a look at our internal family system and take care of ourselves, because a lot of times what has been experienced in the past cannot be undone, although our perspective and insights and healing that we go through in the here and now with our internal family system can help us move forward. And the last tip that I want to share with you guys is to create a visual representation of your self-doubt. So this is another way of kind of digging deeper into the self-doubt rather than just avoiding it because of the discomfort. But you can create a very simple art using colors and forms, or even create a collage looking through some magazine images that seems to represent your self-doubt. And it really does not require any sort of skill or experience in art, because the point is to take the moment for yourself to be present with your self-doubt and express it in a physical form visually so that you can see it as a distance rather than just avoiding it and covering it up. There is something very powerful about art expression, is that it often taps us into both our conscious as well as our subconscious mind, our subconscious patterns. So this can be a powerful approach for you to gain insights on any sort of subconscious beliefs that you're holding that might be holding you back in your life from moving forward. So these are some things I want to share with you guys in terms of self-doubt that's been really on my mind these days. And I've been really retrieving some insights that can help me and help other people in how to process this. So if you have your own insights on how you personally deal with self-doubt, please share that in the comments below. I'm sure that at least one person can benefit from what you share. Thank you for tuning into this video. Thank you for being here, and I'll see you next time. Love and light your way.